Hello, Looplings, and welcome back to the Loopy Homestead. Today we wanted to talk a little bit about our video before we get started. We recently took you on a tour of our chicken coop and runs and showed you the meat birds that we were raising for butcher. At the time of filming, those birds were about 4 weeks, with 4 weeks left to go before we were going to add them to our freezer. Well, today that day has come. Our philosophy is to give them a great life while they're here on Earth, and when it's time for them to go, it's time for them to go. It's just a matter of fact on a homestead. We do our best to process them as humanely as possible, but processing is what we're doing today. That being said, it means there might be some footage that could make some people uncomfortable, and if so, thanks for joining us for the start of this, and we'll see you back in our next video. For those of you that are staying, let's get on with the process. So when we start out, there's usually an awful lot of standing around. We have to wait for our stock pot to heat up all the way, and once we've butchered our first chicken, it takes a few minutes before we can get going on the next part of the process. As you can see, late fall is in full swing for us here in North Idaho. Everyone is bundled up. But sometimes that happens here. If we aren't able to get our chickens early, it means we're praying it doesn't snow before we can process them. And let me tell you, we've had experience with that, and it's kinda miserable. But we did it for a good cause. It looks like our stock pot is finally hot enough, and we're ready to start processing our first chicken. We will place it in the stock pot just long enough to scald it, so the feathers are easily removed in our plucker. To make sure they haven't been in too long, we check the skin on their feet. Once it starts to peel a little bit, they're done. From there, they go immediately into the plucker, which spins them around like they're in a washing machine. We spray a hose to make sure the feathers fall out the bottom as they're plucked. It only takes a few minutes before most of the feathers are gone and they're ready to go on to the next stage. In the meantime, we've already got another one going in the scalding pot. Typically, we begin our breakdown by removing the feet and the tips of the wings. These are things that we don't generally use in our home. In the background, you can see Alan taking another one of the chickens to our restraining cones. This holds them securely while we butcher them, and it is honestly the fastest and easiest way we've found to do it. Everyone on the homestead has a job. Matt usually takes care of the killing, while I manage the stock pot for scalding. Shar runs the chicken plucker, and Ernie, with the most experience butchering, takes care of all of the gutting. The kids all have various jobs too. They help move chickens to the sink when we're done with them, they help catch them for butcher, and they help remove any extra feathers that the plucker didn't get. For some of you that this makes a little squeamish, it's okay. Not everybody has a strong stomach for it. When I was a kid, I wasn't exactly comfortable with it either, But as you get older and you do it more often, it just becomes another part of life. And we're confident that the kids will get used to it, and someday it'll be old hat for them too. Poor Dylan. We felt so bad for him. But like a champ, he recovered and got back in the game. After Ernie is done with his part, the chickens go into the sinks with ice water to cool down and rinse. From there, they'll go into tubs until we're ready to bring them in the house. It's at that point that we will finish breaking them down and package them to put in our freezer. Our family has become practiced enough at this that it only took us around an hour to do 15 meat birds. When it comes to raising meat birds, we typically choose Cornish cross. Not only do they grow quickly, but on average, they've produced more for us than other meat breeds we've tried. That being said, because these are cross and not a heritage breed, it's not a chicken that we could get eggs from, incubate, raise ourselves, and then butcher to sustain a flock on our homestead. Over the last few years, it hasn't been as easy to get chickens when we want from the hatcheries or from local stores. This means, despite our preferences, it might be time to find a different breed, one that we can raise and sustain ourselves on our homestead. The same consideration is true for our egg layers as well. While they are wonderful producers and are consistent daily layers, they are also a cross, which means we can't sustain them any better than we can the Cornish cross. For the last few months, our family has been researching a different breed of chicken to replace both the Cornish cross and our golden comets long term. This is a sampling of what we got from our chickens when we processed them last year. I don't quite remember the weight, but this year our yield was about 43 pounds. Generally, the bulk of our meat gets deboned and turned into either breasts, tenderloins, cubed chicken, or ground chicken. Once we're done deboning, we roast the chicken bones, add them to the stock pot with a few vegetables, and turn them into some really delicious chicken stock. That chicken stock generally gets canned so we can use it throughout the year. Sometimes we choose to freeze dry it so we can use it even later if we'd like to. This year, we're hoping to try our hand for the first time at condensed cream of chicken soup too. Thanks for joining us back on the homestead. If you'd like to stay in the loop, please subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to help us find more looplings like you, please like and share our videos.
All right, good.
Deep breath.